Hi backers, my name is Yeznal Casey from VYZR Technologies. I wanted to do a bit of a different format for today's update. I wanted to do a video. That way I could cram a lot more information, a lot more details rather than typing it out on IndieGoGo where I do have a word limit. So it leaves a lot of details out and I know how much you guys like details. So the first thing I just want to start off with in general, in our last update and in little kind of chatters here and there, and especially for our accelerated BioVYZR customers, we talked about an exit air vent. And I want to tell you a little bit more about this kind of major product change that has happened in the last 3 to 4 weeks. And so the best way to explain it is this is the exit air vent right here. And I'll pop this one out. And the original design was just very much a plastic structure where you open it on a hinge and you could put the filter in here and seal the filter. And basically this would allow all the air that passes out to get filtered through the filter up here and exit the BioVYZR. So that was really great, but it was a passive way of getting the air out of the visor. One of the things that while we were receiving our samples and playing around with them is that we realized that if we added a motor and made the exit air vent actively pull air out, that was going to improve the circulation inside the BioVYZR by a lot. And so we felt very strongly that this was something that we wanted to change and improve for all of the BioVYZRs. The problem was that we'd already started production and nobody could handle another delay. So what we decided to do is to develop them independently and then ship them out later so that everybody can self-assemble them. Now the self-assembly is very easy. I think with this model, it's just a matter of putting it in from the top and then sticking your hand through and kind of screwing one into the other, and that'll allow it to kind of be held in place firmly at the top of the visor. But this is the old model of the exit air vent. This is the new model of the exit air vent. Here's my BioVYZR. And basically, I've taken this out. So you could see that inside the vent, there's an actual motor. And this motor here, there's this little cap, and then it actually pulls the air through the N95 filter so that the air that comes out of the visor has been filtered. So if whoever's wearing the visor is asymptomatic or is in a, in a sensitive environment with vulnerable people around them, this will make sure that the air coming out of the visor will not hurt or harm anybody in the surrounding environment. But this is the thing that I want you to see, is that this will now have a motor inside. There's a wire, and this wire will plug into your power bank. So this is how you will power the new exit air vent. Now, there's a few things about this development. We were really concerned that if we were gonna do it and produce it and assemble everything ourselves, it was gonna add a few more weeks, maybe even a month extra to the delivery timeline. So we basically said that we're gonna ship everything without the exit air vent, and by the time it arrives to the US, to our customers there, we will have the actual vents ready to go, and we will ship them in a separate package, and you will receive them both within probably maximum a week of each other. So that's the game plan when it comes to shipping. I'll explain it a little bit further, but that's the main kind of issue around the exit air vent. This week's been a little bit challenging because we received our first prototype, the one that I just showed you. We had to approve the exit air vent design, and it looked like the factory that we were working with used the wrong motor. They used a motor that was kind of half as small and a lot less powerful than the one that we required, which is a little bit of a larger motor, something more like this. The one inside the visor is currently about half this thickness. And the thing with motors is that their size is proportional to how much energy or how much air that they actually are able to produce. So that was something that kind of just threw us off a little bit. So we're in the process of correcting that so we can get the right exit air vents prepared and shipped out on time. But that's what the talk about the exit air vent is all about. For the first kind of batch, if you ordered before July 15th, then for us, you'll be getting them separately. The process of installing them is super simple. Like I said, it's just basically putting it in place and then connecting the bottom piece, screwing it into the top piece, and having it fixed in place. And then there's the wire that you just have to kind of put it through these elastic loops and connect it to the power bank on the inside, and that's it. It's not a very complicated product. It doesn't take a lot of skill or tools at all. It's just something that we felt you guys would appreciate it much more if you would get it sooner rather than wait an extra month to receive it all fully assembled, etc. So that's the update for that. With regards to the shipping, now we are going to talk about two batches. Batch 1 is for everybody who ordered before July 15th, and batch 2 is everybody who ordered after July 15th. Batch 1, we were shipping it out this week. But this morning I got an update from the factory that they need more time to assemble the components and put everything in the boxes. And that's always really not good when it happens, because we have already made plans to pick up the containers from the factory, to get them to specific locations so they can be shipped. And every time that something like that happens, it throws us off and we have to make the arrangements again. So we're looking about, they need an extra week to do it. So today is Tuesday. We're expecting them by next Wednesday to be packing our first containers to be shipped out. I mentioned in the last update that we are working with FedEx. They'll be taking them directly from the factory. They'll be shipping them by sea, which is about a 13-day journey. By sea, they arrive in Seattle with their tracking numbers. Everything's already pre-labeled. And then once they arrive in Seattle and they're processed, then immediately they get fed into the FedEx network and you receive them 2 to 3 days later. But with this extra week that they're going to take, we're looking at maybe closer to the third or fourth week of August for the delivery, which, you know, these things can't arrive soon enough. We're always dismayed every time we have to deal with a delay. But I think we've put a lot of pressure on our factory. And if you see, I mean, we showed some pictures, but working with them on a day-to-day, seeing how hard they work, there's a fine line with how much pressure we could actually put on them. And then once we cross that line, then we see a drastic change in the quality. And that's something that nobody wants. It's like you don't want errors in the product, not with a product like this. And so we're working with them to the best of our capacity to produce things as fast as we can, but there are certain time constraints and there are delays that come up. This is one of them. It's about a week and a half. It's not the biggest delay that we've had. And everything is so close to being finished that we're just kind of just saying, okay, just, you know, get them done, get them packed up, let's get things shipped, let's move on. You know, we didn't want to make too much of a fuss about it so that we could move on. If you're in batch 2, a lot of things are facilitated because a lot of the areas that we had delays at the first production, which was the molds and things, all of that has been done. So for batch 2, it's just a matter of powering through our current production and making sure that we have everything ready to be shipped out at the end of August. Again, it'll be shipped by sea. We're going to use the same strategy of getting it to Seattle. And from Seattle, I think we're already almost sold out of the second batch. So as soon as they reach Seattle, everything goes out to their customers, and we'll give you a tracking number. I could give everybody a tracking number as early as, you know, this week. However, that tracking number won't be moving for, you know, for maybe 2 weeks. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily, kind of defeats the point. But what was cool, and I think I mentioned this in our last update, is that we can have a tracking number for the whole ship that's carrying the container, and we can track it as it goes across the ocean. I know that would make me feel a lot more comfortable. I'm that kind of guy. So I'll share it with you guys once we have it, once the shipment is out to sea, and we'll kind of count the days until it arrives and until all of you guys get your BioVYZRs. So yeah, so for batch 2, that we're looking at the end of August, it's going to leave the factory, hopefully, and then it'll reach you, you know, mid-September. I know that a lot of our customers, especially in the second batch, may be teachers and you're going back to school. it's going to be something that we can't do much about. We tried accelerating the visors. It didn't necessarily work that well because we still ended up shipping the visors in an accelerated way, but we had to ship them in bits and parts. And some of the early sentiment, people were not too happy about that. Other people were just really happy that they got it and they're waiting for the rest of the parts. But us, from the way that we want to do things, we don't like shipping things out in parts. I don't think, and I don't think it's optimal, but the situation's gone so bad and everybody is on edge, and so we're doing our best to work with everybody's situation, but at some point it's it doesn't work out for anybody. So we rather just ship everything out when it's done and complete, and you get things in a way that you can start using it right away. That's our goal, and so that's what we're trying to achieve. One thing that's really great about kind of shipping things in batches, we get a lot of early customer feedback. And another change that we did during manufacturing is that we noticed that when we started producing the visors, the material we used, neoprene, is notorious for wrinkling. And we're very much perfectionists, so we don't like wrinkles on anything. We like something to look smooth, nice, and clean. And so once we saw the wrinkles, we were like, oh no, this is a problem. We have to fix it. So we decided that to fix it, we were going to extend. How can I show it? Let me show it. I'll show you on my current sample. So you could see that this sample is all nice and smooth. Maybe a little bit here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a bit of wrinkles. But the way that we were able to achieve this smoothness is by taking the vinyl face shield and actually extending it all the way in the back of this material. This allowed it to be super smooth, very nice, clean looking, much more than before. But what it did is it introduced a rigidity in the shape and the structure of the visor. Whereas before it could fit a lot more sizes, this part would just simply fold and it could sit on somebody's shoulders. Now it was kind of like staying very rigid and it wouldn't go all the way down. And that we have realized is starting to introduce some changes in sizes. If you have a shoulder size below 20 inches, then this will easily go over your shoulders. It'll come down really low and it'll sit and fit in the perfect way. If you have broader shoulders, then the visor kind of just, it stops, it doesn't really come down. So it sits high. So a lot of the feedback associated with this kind of imperfect sizing is that the face shield gets really close to the face and the side windows are extremely high. And that's obviously the case because it's sitting a lot higher than it should be on the body. So that's something that we have been really working quickly to resolve. And some of our early customers who've received the accelerated visors, they've been super, super helpful with us. We're working on them to kind of develop this kind of larger size. We already have a prototype coming out that's a larger size. So keep that in mind. If your shoulder size is more than 20 inches, and I think a lot of people will fall into that category, please shoot us an email and let us know. We've started taking a list because we have already developed and are going to produce this larger sizes. We're going to give the larger sizes priority in the next production run so that we have a whole bunch of them ready and we're going to ship them out as early as possible so that anybody from the earlier order who has a larger and broader shoulder size, they'll feel a lot more comfortable with this new and larger sizing that we've developed. So we thought initially we had a one size fits all, but I think as customers are starting to get them and receive them, we don't believe a one size fits all for something like this will work. So this is just forcing us to get into sizing faster. There's no way around it. Humans are not one size fits all. So our products should really evolve to meet that. So we're working on that very actively. It's one of our top priorities. And anybody who has larger, broader shoulders, just let us know. care@vyzrtech.com. We'll put you on our priority list. And as soon as the larger sizes are finished, probably at the same time as the next production batch, which is probably going to be maybe 2-3 weeks later, but you'll get something that fits, that you can wear, that you'll be super comfortable in, and that won't come really close to your face. So that's something else that we're very much focused on doing as well. And yeah, so that's it for the main parts of the update. I love seeing all your questions and comments on our IndieGoGo page. I do my best to answer them as much as I can. And you guys know how to reach us. Aaron's there always answering emails. We are getting a very large influx of emails now that we have so many customers. So just bear with us, give us about 24 hours to answer your questions. We might be a little bit slower. We're still a small team, but we really do care about talking. Sometimes we pick up the phone, we talk with a lot of you as well. But it does take up a lot of our time, and we do try to focus on making sure that we're focusing on the product and the delivery. I think one of the really interesting things that we've seen I think somebody mentioned, I think it was Athena who mentioned the Leaf campaign. That's one campaign that has been getting a lot of issues recently. And to highlight that point, we knew that IndieGoGo campaigns and crowdfunding campaigns have a lot of issues. And from our experience running one, we've seen that once you start a crowdfunding campaign, there's all these different organizations and people, and they kind of like everything that they do for you, they require a cut. So I can see how a lot of companies can run out of funds very quickly. So that's something that we've been very aware of from the very beginning. And we're not spending any money currently on advertising. Everything is just kind of growing on its own. Our main concern is making sure that our customers, our backers, get their products ASAP. They test them out, they give us feedback, we go back, make them better, and we start this kind of process of producing a product that'll actually help people in this really challenging time. That's our only goal. So we're not really advertising. We've cut a lot of our expenses. We're only focusing on inventory and anything that it takes to get it to our end customers at the moment. So that's where our mind is at currently. Just bear with us through these delays. Again, we've been very quick with refunds. If you're traveling and you're not going to get it on time, if for any reason it's too late for you or something, email us, we'll issue a refund. We always do it within the hour. We don't want to delay. We don't want to keep your money. A lot of people are going through financial challenges. We don't want to hold on to your money. It's a really difficult time for everybody. Just let us know right away and we will issue a refund as soon as we can. So that's not an issue for us. It will be a little bit more difficult once we ship the products out. So if you are from the first batch and you're reconsidering it and you're saying, hey, maybe I don't know, then just let us know before we ship them out. And that way there's still a little tiny window that we can offer you a return as well. So stay in touch with us. We're here for you, and let's work together to get these things to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your support and your patience, and we can't wait for you guys to get these as soon as possible. Thank you. Bye-bye.